Today we are going to shade a three-dimensional sphere with colored pencils. Let's go! I suggest that you reference your 3D shading worksheet as well as your colored pencil technique worksheet throughout this video. It will really help you. Also, keep looking back at this image here. In this video, we will see how a light source interacts with an object to create a highlight, a midtone, a core shadow, and a cast shadow. We will also see how reflected light occurs on an object. Let's go! You can start by tracing any small household object. Here, I decided to trace a small bowl. Trace lightly so your lines don't detract from your coloring. You might even want to go back with an eraser and lighten up your lines after tracing, which is what I am doing here. Now it's time to begin coloring. I will start with this yellow-orange pencil. I'm going to shade the entire sphere, leaving a little white area for my highlight. Like in the example image that I told you to keep referencing, I'm going to make my light source coming from the top left of my paper. This is called my highlight, and it will remain the lightest portion of my sphere. I am going to now continue layering colors with an analogous color scheme. We know that analogous colors are colors that lie next to one another on the color wheel. I'm using orange because orange is analogous or next to my base color of yellow. Analogous colors blend really well. Notice how I am establishing a larger shadow across from my highlight on my sphere. Right now, my coloring is very light. I'm going to build up analogous colors to intensify the saturation or the brightness of my orange sphere. Keep in mind that this video is now in super speed mode. In actuality, this takes quite a long time. In fact, I worked on layering these colors for about an hour. Don't rush and your final result will be worth it. To make your highlight even brighter, you might choose to burnish over your color with a white colored pencil. That's what I'm doing here. You may also use an eraser to subtract or take away some colored pencil to add to your highlight. Mastering colored pencil takes time, and it's a process of constantly going back and forth to see what you need to change. I could stop here, and my sphere is already looking somewhat three-dimensional. However, I want to show you another step to take your work to the next level. Now we are going to use some basic color theory to make a strong shadow along our sphere. Artists rarely use black when creating a shadow. Instead, they more frequently rely on complementary colors. We'll remember from class that complementary colors are colors that lie opposite one another on the color wheel. My sphere is mostly orange, so I need to choose the color complement of orange. I know from looking at the color wheel that that's blue. Blue will form the base of my shadow. Just like before, I am slowly and patiently building up my color. This is key when drawing realistically with colored pencils. Also notice how my shadow follows my sphere all the way around. Beginners tend to make their shadow lines very straight, and that's not quite correct. We need to follow the object's curve. Now I have the core shadow along my object opposite my highlight completed. Now it is time to draw the cast shadow, which is created from the light source bouncing off of my sphere. For this, I am going to layer complementary colors once again. This time, however, I am going to start with blue and then layer orange over top. As we saw on our colored pencil technique worksheet, the order in which you layer colors can produce a very different effect. By using complementary colors to create my cast shadow, instead of black or gray, I am creating a much more realistic looking image. This mirrors how light truly interacts in real life. Notice how I've kept a little sliver of orange in between my core shadow and my cast shadow. This is called reflected light. Reflected light is when the light is reflected onto an object from the surface it sits on. White or shiny surfaces reflect the most light, while dark or black surfaces reflect the least amount of light. Now that I have my cast shadow, I am going to add a small surface for my sphere to sit on. This keeps my image grounded and not like it's floating in midair. To create my surface, I simply layered some more orange and blue, pressing lightly. And we're done. I have a sphere with the light source coming from the top left to create a highlight, as well as my area for midtones in the center, and a core shadow along the edge opposite of my highlight. I also have that piece of reflected light and a cast shadow along the bottom. Good luck and keep practicing. It will be worth it. Bye!